to listen to the Lapped Traffic Podcast.
What is up, Lap Traffic Nation? Welcome to episode 237 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. I am your host, the Professor Brandon Crowd, and this week's show is once again brought to you by Manscaped. I'll get to their read here in just a little bit. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. We've added another winner to the list. I can't wait to talk about that in a little bit. Guys, I am pumped for tonight's show, and I'm going to tell you why I'm pumped for tonight's show, and that's because I am so excited to drop in the Matt Tift interview here in a few minutes. So I talked to Matt Tift yesterday. We recorded on Monday, and I'm going to tell you, Matt's been a good friend of the show. Like, Matt's one of those few people, like, in the garage, in the media center, if I see him, like, he takes a few minutes to come over and say hi, and we shoot the crap about Michigan football, and he pokes fun at me about that, and it's very welcome. Like, Matt's somebody that I've gotten to know over the years, which is so cool. And it's been a minute since Matt's been on the show. And so we literally had a 30-minute sit-down, basically, just catching up and talking about his new venture with Live Fast Racing, which is incredible. And I am so excited for you guys to get to hear the backstory about what went into all of that. And it's incredible. I had so much fun talking to him about it, and I know you guys are going to love this interview. So I'm jacked to get this on for you guys here. But hey, I mean, the weekend, I told you guys last weekend was like the most boringest weekend I've had in a long time. This past weekend was kicked up a small notch, not too much. They are making headway on the deck. So I don't even remember how much I said about this. So we had a wood deck on the back of the house, and some boards were rotting and whatever. And last year, I think you guys may remember, I mentioned we had like this carpenter bee issue. And so I'm like, this thing's got to go. So we found some guys, and they're putting in a new Trex deck for us, which is awesome. And it looks so badass. And so they started last week, tore out the top. The foundation is good still from the old wood deck, which is great. And they are making headway. And unfortunately, we're supposed to get some rain over the next couple days, which might slow things down. But, so when the deck's not serviceable, that means I can't grill. That means I can't be smoking meat, so that takes away from my weekend a little bit. So I've been dying to cook something, because like the weekends is when I take over the kitchen, so to speak. So Sunday, I was like, screw it, I'm making a sauce. I didn't have any left in the freezer, and it's un-Italian to not have sauce stored in a freezer. So that happened Sunday. Friday, a friend of Lindsay's came over. We went to dinner with her and the neighbors. It was fun. So a little bit more entertaining, and that's a good thing. Cannot wait to get back on the golf course. It feels like a couple weeks have gone by since I've been able to golf with this weather up here. Who knows? Maybe that'll happen this weekend. It's supposed to be low 60s, I think. I'll make sure to get the 411 from Studwell here. Listen, hey, hope you guys enjoyed last week's show with Mike Bagley from MRN. He made his debut last week, which was awesome. And so I got to talk about J-Ski for a minute here. So this week technically would have been another J-Ski Dustin Albino bonus show. And I texted him over the weekend. I'm like, hey, what if we create a little bit of a build here? Dustin is a huge Xfinity guy, kind of like I am with truck, only I don't get paid to write and talk about it. But he's a big Xfinity series guy, and, you can hear his excitement and all that. So what I thought we would do is our next bonus show is going to be a couple weeks from now. And it's going to be after the last Dash for Cash event in the Xfinity series after Dover. Dustin's also thinking he might be at Dover. So I thought that would be a huge bonus show where we will devote the main theme of our next J-Ski bonus show to the Dash for Cash and the Xfinity series. So a couple weeks, and we'll have another installment there, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. I'll put together some input to get from you guys over the next couple weeks, and I think that will be awesome. So stay tuned for that. What's coming up tonight? Well, I've already teased the Matt Tifft chat that I'm going to drop in here in just a minute. Got your Talladega recap and Xfinity Cup, all that good stuff. Social media shout outs. Picked up a bunch of new followers this weekend, getting so close to that giveaway. Studwell will be on a little later, and some Lucky Dog and fantasy. Oh, man, am I excited to talk some lap traffic fantasy. Ooh, I wonder why. But before we get to all of that, the flowers are blooming, the grass is growing. It's time to chop the weeds. Thanks to our sponsor, Manscaped. You can trim everything safely, efficiently. I'm talking about ball trimmers, guys. Yes, let's stop beating around the bush, and let's talk about the global leaders in men's below the waist grooming. And they've got an exclusive offer for the Lap Traffic podcast listeners. Use code LAPPED, LAPPED. Get 20% off, free shipping at manscaped.com. That's manscaped.com. Join the other 2 million men who trust Manscaped. They're here to make sure everything's trimmed, smelling nice. They sent me that initial promo package, a couple weeks, month, 2 ago, whatever it was. And when they signed back on, they sent me their cologne and a couple other things. I'm telling you guys, their products are incredible. I never thought I'd ever get to the point of where a company was sending me stuff to test out to do a live read on. And I'm telling you, you guys won't be disappointed in the Manscaped products. So go to manscaped.com, use code LAPPED, get 20% off and free shipping. Tell your friends. Okay. Wow. 7 minutes. Sorry about that. Okay. Let's get Matt Tifft on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line, making his 6th appearance on the Lap Traffic podcast. He's raced in all 3 National Touring Series for NASCAR. He is now a NASCAR Cup owner. He's a big fan of the school down south. Welcome back to the Lap Traffic podcast. Matt Tifft, what's going on, brother?
I think you've had me on too many times. It's probably a mistake on your guys' end.
Oh, Matt, let's check this out. So you were last on season 3, episode 147. Tonight is season 5, episode 237. So we can't let another 100 shows go by before you're back on.
No, I agree with that, and I'm probably a big reason you had another 100 shows go by that you didn't have to interview me in there, and probably kept the ratings up by not having me on here. So that's probably smart planning.
Oh, man. Well, listen, a lot's gone on over the last 100 shows with you. So let's start with the health side of things, because when you had to make the announcement that you weren't going to be able to drive, I was like, this can't be the last we're going to hear from Matt Tifft. So how are you feeling? How's the health side and all that of things going?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Luckily, I'm sitting here 2 weeks away from being able to drive. So fingers crossed here. 6 months free of seizures to get back into a street car, which is the first time since Martinsville in 2019. So that's kind of crazy to think about in itself, for driving a street car.
Yeah.
Things have been really good. Things have taken a turn for the better there, and hopefully it stays the same. It's a battle. You fight with treatments and lifestyle and stuff like that you got to figure out. And I've had to do a lot of learning in that. So, one big part for me was coming out with the diagnosis, and people knew I had the seizure and stuff like that before. But really opening up and saying that I had epilepsy, it took me. I was diagnosed with it in January of 2020.
Okay.
And I did not announce it until January of 21. So it was a long time that it took me to accept it. And then really Thanksgiving-ish, like Halloween, Thanksgiving-ish, when we got to 2020, I started talking about it a little bit more openly with friends and close family and stuff like that, just to kind of say, like, yeah, I do have epilepsy. Because they kept asking, when are you getting back getting a race car? What are you doing? Because at the same time as the team, and so all this stuff was coming out, and I felt like, hey, I finally do have an identity back in NASCAR, and we can get into that more later if you want. But,
sure.
I think when I had that little bit of a feeling that I was going to be back into racing, I felt like, okay, I can kind of open back up about what has been going on. And I still didn't announce it until January because I was just so scared of announcing it. And I think a lot of people have that too with epilepsy. I mean, you look up and down of the celebrities and athletes who have it, there's a lot, and it's not very much talked about because it's really scary because it is a very terrifying disease, but it's also an invisible disease. And so one thing that happens with it is, I'm no different than the Matt Tifft I was when I was driving, but people look at you different with that. And so that's a big thing. It's like I'm still myself. I haven't changed. We go to these racetracks, and I put down my notes just like I'm the driver to help out, whether it's BJ or another driver we have in the car. And I'm doing all the same prep work. I'm doing the sponsor work, obviously, with the team. But, I'm still the same guy. But I just, there's been 14 minutes of my life of convulsing that's totally changed my life. So that's a weird deal with it because you get labeled into it, and really it's like, well, I'm still the same guy. And that's one big misconception about epilepsy. It's like you're not. Some people have them every day, but some people like myself are fortunate to not have them as often. So, it's just it's a life-changing deal. But at the same time, I think I want to spread the awareness of what you do to help people. The Epilepsy Foundation to go see when someone is having a seizure, what to do with them. But then also that we're still people, man. I mean, it's still the same. It's an electrical shortage, an outlet that goes out, but it's not, it's not like you're talking to a monster at all.
Sure. No, God, no. Well, listen, man, that's a crazy story. And I'm so glad that you're doing better. And, that's crazy. To put it in perspective, this short little blip on the timeline is kind of just throwing things into a whirlwind for you. But, that's the crazy thing for me when I hear a story like that. And it's awesome that you're here with us, physical presence and from the sports side of things as well. And we're definitely going to get into that kind of stuff. But before we do, another stellar season by the Buckeyes, making it to national championship game. Alabama's just in a league all on their own, but you guys are just the kings of the Big Ten. I'll say it. We couldn't even play you guys. I still wonder what was really going on back there.
That was a smart decision. You know what, though? I will say about that, I am shocked that they kept Harbaugh there. I was beyond shocked.
I was beyond. I'm like, I wanted it to work. I really did. I'm like, all right, here we got a guy coming from that played at Michigan, success in San Francisco in the NFL. Like
it was.
How is this not going to work? And it hasn't. And it's just like at this point, it's just mediocrity. And
what's strange about that to me is I understood the first 3 years or so because you got a lot of prospects. You're bringing in people to the school, right?
Sure.
And over time, you'd think that would be his strong suit, is getting people in, scouting talent, doing those sorts of things. But continually, each year, they get worse. And that means that you're scouting worse and worse and worse. And the guy that had that program, is kind of responsible for that, in my opinion, because, you want to play with, before being Urban Meyer, you want to go play with him. For Michigan, it's obviously been bad for a while against Ohio State, but in
general,
otherwise,
it's been bad.
Right. But it's been at least close, or they've been a good Big Ten team otherwise. And so that's why it's so weird to me when you see somebody getting worse and worse and worse each and every year, COVID or no COVID, before that it was still the same trend.
Yep.
You got to scratch your head and go, what are we doing here? And them signing him to a massive extension is like, all right, well, I don't get it, but whatever.
Yeah, no, like you said, those first 3 years were pivotal because it was his name recognition alone was going to bring people in. And now it's like, all right, what are you going to do with all this talent? And not much is the answer to that question.
Completely. Yeah, it baffles me. And to be honest, though, I've been a Browns fan forever. And, you play the Steelers and you get beat up by the Steelers and stuff. And honestly, I know for them, I've talked to some Steelers fans, and they're like, we do want the rivalry. Like, we want it to be like the Ravens and stuff, which obviously is the old Browns. and they want that rivalry back. And so now you kind of have that sneaking back in the NFL with the Browns being better. And, it's fun. But when the Buckeyes just go beat up, like I want them to win every time, but you want it to be at least entertaining, not just a complete blowout every time.
I hear you. Oh, man. All right. Well, let's talk a little NASCAR, Matt. Talk to us about Team Live Fast, how that all came to be, and what it's like as a NASCAR team owner now.
Yeah, it all started with I hadn't been doing much, after the being out of the seat, and quarantine was just about to start. We didn't know that yet, but
right.
So BJ and we'd always have a habit of going to Buffalo Wild Wings, just hanging out. Normally we go for Sunday Night Football. So a lot of people don't realize that. I guess I should start with that. So BJ McLeod. He started driver coaching me when I was 12 years old, and so I went to his finish line school with Mike Lozier down in New Smyrna, and so BJ was the main driver coach there. And so he and I got together, and right after that first school I did, we started talking about doing speed weeks in his super late model program down there, because he just won the World Series of Asphalt in New Smyrna with the super late model team. And so we talked about it, and with some persuasion, we finally got him to do it, because he hadn't really done that before very much. So we got together and started running some races down there. And, a lot of people don't realize, because they're like, where's, Matt Tifft and BJ McLeod on paper don't look like they should be together.
Right.
Just from myself and him, we look like we're from different worlds, but, he's been a huge part of my career, has been a big advisor on what I do, from step to step in my career, and even in my personal life. So, we've known each other now for, I guess, a dozen years. So it's been a long time. And, he's become like an older brother to me, but, it was like that in a lot of ways. And now it's just kind of like we're friends who get to own a team together. So it's kind of funny how things have shifted, because he's always like a mentor and an older brother. Well, now being in the position we are, it's just kind of like we're on the same plane, which is really neat. So, he controls a lot of the competition aspects at the team. I do a lot of the sponsorship side and things like that. But, he was a groomsman in my wedding, which a lot of people don't know either.
That's
so
awesome.
So we've been together for a long time. And so, like I said, we go to Sunday Night Football at Buffalo Wild Wings up in Mooresville. And we just sit out on the patio and get some wings, and started talking about, like, hey, we should look at getting it a charter. And we're half-heartedly looking at this. And this is before. Now you got to remember, this is before charters were the hot thing. This is when Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin were, that's not even a thought.
Sure.
The whole pandemic was not a big deal. The whole George Floyd deal that turned into the NASCAR stance and the Confederate flag and everything, and all the stuff with Bubba. None of this has happened. You got to remember, this is before any of this, before the whole world changed in about 2 months. So we're just dreaming up this idea, and so we're like, yeah, that would be cool. We'll get a team together. It could be something to look at for the next few years to do, and. So the pandemic happens. I get a call, and he says, so that's probably February, and this is in June. And of course we're still hanging out, but I get a call from him, and he says, I don't want to say anything, but I think something's happening. And I said, okay. He goes, well, I'll give it a 10% chance. I knew he was talking about the charter.
Sure.
And he's like, I'd give it a 10% chance of happening, but let's just see where it goes. And so, we get down the road, and Go Fast Racing is partnered up with Joe Falk, who we're still partnered up with on the charter side and the team side there. And so Archie is looking to sell his charter. And I mean, when I tell you there were 1 million people in that deal, there were 1 million people in that deal. But it just it worked out, because Joe wanted to stay in racing. And we wanted to partner with somebody that had experience and some know-how in the industry and knew the executives there. And so we just talked with him. And honestly, it was just the perfect match there. And when it came down to the end, it was a shark feeding frenzy between ourselves. Oh, yeah, between ourselves, Justin Marks, Michael Jordan and Denny going together. And, you heard talks about Floyd Mayweather and Colleague and all these people trying to get in. The three main ones were the first ones listed there. So they're trying to buy, they're trying to get in. And we got it. We got the paperwork in there, and we signed it during late summer, and we could not. And so we're watching these things go on, and I'm telling you, we got it by 2 days later. I don't think we would have gotten this charter.
Wow.
And so we're going on, but here's the deal: we can't talk about this. So so we got an NDA. We can't talk about it, which is fine. And so we're not talking about anything. So Michael Jordan and Denny come out with 2311 race, and Trackhouse comes out, and we're just sitting here on a charter on a team, and we can't hire people. We can't do this. We can't do that because we can't talk about it. Which is completely fine because we knew we had the team, and we're just sitting here like, wait till you guys see this. Like,
right?
wait till you see this shit pretty much. Like, you're waiting for something to drop here. And so it's kind of fun because we're waiting, like, you guys are watching all these big people come in and like wait for this. And so we got to announce it, and it's been great. The process of becoming an owner is so different because it's the personnel side, it's the planning side, it's the business side. And I've always loved business. I'm obsessed with it. My parents were entrepreneurs. All that stuff is so interesting and so fun to me. The challenge of building a company, of doing things correctly there, of having a business plan and looking at 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10-year deals, 30 years down the road, we want to be here still. And so coming in as the newest owners into NASCAR became such a cool challenge because we knew coming into this deal that we were in a weird year, right? Because when we first started talking about it, the next-gen car was planned for 2021.
Right.
Again, no pandemic, no weirdness, like nothing going on in the world. So we're planning on that if we're going to do this team. Well, all of a sudden, that goes out the window, right? We got to go buy all the cars this year. They're going to be obsolete for next year. And then we're going, okay, well, we need to go buy Go Fastest cars. So we call up our team. We need some equipment. We need all that stuff. So on top of that, still this year, we got to buy the next-gen cars and do that stuff. But, we're in this place of, okay, we're not starting in a position of 2311 or any of those guys, but we are planning on taking this year by year and building partnerships, having that the alliance with Studwell Racing, where we're on the ground level, to be honest with you, but it's a start. It's a start with Ford Motor Company and the next gen car that's coming out. It's a start on everything, but the calculated risks that we're taking, the calculated approach of what we do and don't do, it all makes sense because this is a deal to be here 15 to 30 years in the future, to where we are able to be here for the long haul. We are committed to NASCAR as long as NASCAR is around and is it smart to be in. And so for that, Live Fast Motorsports was born. And, our goal this year was to be able to run around the top 30. And I think our average finish is somewhere around 29th to 30th right now. So we've been there. And we just came off another top 25 finish at Talladega. And you look back at some of our short track runs, and we've had really good speed. We haven't executed at some places, but, we got to do some work on the mile and a half, the big track stuff with the 550 package. But, things are coming together. The guys are gluing together. The chemistry is getting better there. And that's what you need for a first-year team, just minimize mistakes, grow and learn. And then when we take on this new challenge of the next-gen car, nobody in this industry knows how to take on this thing exactly. We're all going to be guessing a little bit.
Yeah, it's going to be almost an even playing field for a short period of time.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, you have the big teams that'll grow and surpass other teams, but the parity is so much better in there, to where we will have a chance now to where you're not having a new group of people come in together. Of course, you always have turnover. That's a part of any business, but we should have the same core group of people that come back, hopefully, and you say, okay, well, let's get to work. Let's go plan out what we do with this car. And then it becomes a deal of, all right, how do we, instead of being 30th, how do we become 25th? How do we become 20th? What does our trajectory look like? And then that's how you kind of plan out the next few years as this new car is making its birth in the sport.
Absolutely, man. Wow, what a story there is too, man. So with having to keep it hush hush for so long, your turnaround to get a full team together from personnel, from crew, guys at the shop, did you get almost a turnkey with Hilaire's shop and all that? Or, how did that piece, once you guys were able to actually get rolling, go?
Yeah, so we had to keep it so quiet that luckily BJ had a shop with his Xfinity team. We still share the shop there, so luckily it's a good space up in Mooresville, big enough to be able to house both teams in there. It's a really nice shop, and so we're able to house both teams in there for right now. But yeah, it was a tough period because you can't go hire people. We talked to a lot of the Go Fast guys in there, and so we have a few guys that came from there. But we have a lot of outside people that came in too. And for those who don't know, in the racing industry, you'll have a guy in the off season for a couple of weeks and then he'll find a better position somewhere. So there's constant people coming and going and coming and going. You're trying to build cars. You're trying to move stuff out of storage from another race shop to your race shop. At the same time, you're using their fab shops and hanging bodies and stuff. So we're doing all this stuff while we're trying to go sell sponsorship to the first race. And we're sitting there and we're going, oh gosh, how much do we need to go get to the Daytona 500, and how much, what do we need to do to get to that race? And honestly, that was where it's fun with Dave, our sales guy, Dave Marrero, and myself to go and just say, okay, we have to sell X amount to go get to the Daytona 500. We have to do this, have to do that. And we did it. We were able to do that. And we calculated everything off of worst case scenario.
Sure.
And luckily we've been able to be successful with how that's gone. As far as meeting our goals and exceeding them, actually, for sponsorship and for finishes and things like that. But going into a season with a brand new team, you just don't know. And that's the biggest thing. So bringing on a veteran crew chief like Frankie Kerr in there, he's done such a good job of leading the guys, of working with less of a budget than we would all like to work with. Sure. But that's the fun challenge of a startup in any business, whether it's racing or, whether you're making clothes or whatever the heck it is, you make things work somehow. And we've been able to do that. And as we grow, we'll be able to expand and be able to, get more funding, which buys speed, money buys speed in the sport. And then it's the people who execute on it. But, it's been such a cool process of seeing it come from an idea, talked about over some wings, watching football, to come to today being one of the 36 charters in the Cup Series. And not just being a charter in there, because I want to make that very clear. We buy all the sets of tires every week. We have a Stuart Haas pit crew. We have we are a full-fledged effort every single week out there. And that's the commitment that BJ and I have, is to be eventually an RCR or somebody, or the Rouse or whoever it may be, 10, 15 years down the road. Maybe the next gen deal speeds that process up, but we're here to not just be there, but to be able to go and compete, and that's our goal each and every week.
No, I love that, man. So let's talk about BJ for a second. This is a guy that, if you're a casual fan, the name BJ McLeod may not strike a bell with you as a casual fan, but BJ's been around a long time. He's had his Xfinity team. He's had his Cup team. He's put drivers out there to get them in front of the camera and in front of sponsors and all that kind of stuff. Talk about BJ's role with this as with what he brought to the table from doing this with his previous team.
Yeah, I think that was the key thing for me, was BJ, not only our friendship, but him being in the Xfinity Series for the last 5 years. But also past that, he was in the Truck Series, ran K&N Series, crew chiefs and ARCA stuff, went back to my days in the late models. And a lot of people forget, too, mine and his first truck owner start, my first Truck Series start as a driver, was at Martinsville together. So kind of weird, my career started and ended at Martinsville, and then led to both of us being owners. So I don't know. Some weird.
There's some interesting things there happening.
Yeah, that I don't know what that exactly should be called, but whatever. Yep. I'm not. That's too deep to go into here. But he's so. What people don't realize about BJ, they see him and they see this big muscular guy who's doesn't fit in with the mold. But what they don't know is, not only on the driver's side from just being in lesser fun equipment, but he's won hundreds of races down in Florida in the super late model divisions. He pretty much rewrote the rules of down there when you see 12, 13-year-old kids racing in late models. The reason that they had to adjust the rules was because of BJ, because he went down there and won everything and was 13 years old. And he was the guy that really changed the landscape of stuff down there. And so a lot of people don't know that. So the history of stock car racing and short tracks down there really was in large part of how much it changed to now was because of BJ. And so that's really cool. But another part about him is he's so good with people. He's such a good leader, and his vision and stuff of how a team should be, and really just dealing with adversity and making something happen out of nothing. He's so good at that. He's so good at having the plan of where things go, and really just knowing what we're supposed to do. From a okay, are we going to go buy this spindle because it's a pound lighter, or do we just keep it because we know we're only going to pick up one spot and that's going to cost, X amount of dollars to do it. So he's so knowledgeable about that side. That's ridiculous. We were at Martinsville and we had something happen to the upper control arm. On the right front, and he called it right away. And then he comes inside to the garage, and we fixed it. And we're all just sitting there like, any other driver would be something broke. BJ's like, nope, this broke. Here's where it is. Here's how to fix it. So he's so knowledgeable at the cars because he has built a car inside and out a million times. So that helps a lot too when it comes to the competition side, because he can go with the car chief and the crew chief there and look at what they're doing and know how you adjust things, how you change things in there. And really it's like having another kind of mechanic overseeing things on the payroll, except for he's not on the payroll, which makes it a lot nicer for us.
Absolutely. Well, listen, man, so and this is something I want to hound in on for the listeners. When you talk about your goals as the team, top 30, had a great day at Talladega, 25th. That's a great day for you guys. Brought the car home in one piece. Like that's solid. Looking forward through the rest of 2021. Do you have a few tracks circled that you guys are putting in extra effort at places that you might have a better chance to maybe get a top 20, top 25? Or are you guys, hey, this week's Kansas, we're focused on Kansas?
Yeah, I think if you look at kind of backtracking there, we really look at the 750 package as our best shot to shine there because our cars do very well at those racetracks. And that just came from the Go Fast team when they bought those Stuart Haas cars. They just did very well with them. We apply our own setups to them. But, the biggest thing there has been when you look at Phoenix, Martinsville, and Richmond, unfortunately, the results don't show the speed that we've had. We've had easily top 25 on average speed at those places throughout the race, sometimes top 20. We have just not completely executed at those tracks. So when you look at the ones coming up of going to Dover, of going to the summer race where we go to short tracks and road courses, those are really the tracks that we need to hit on and do a very good job of, because that's where we get our top 25s and get our top 20s. Obviously, the super speedways, I think we've finished 24th and 25th now, so those are good places for us. So really, it's just being able to execute his strategy correctly and do all those things to finish in the top 25 or sneak out the top 20 once or twice a year. But you look at the Coke 600 and things like that, where if you can keep things going, have decent speed, you can finish in that same category if you do things correctly and you execute. So it all comes down to execution. I know I keep on saying that, but it really does. Sure. You realize it more as an owner than you do a driver. But when it comes to the mile and a half tracks, we've been a 32nd place car, sometimes 33rd, and we need to figure out a way to get to 30th or 31st. That's really the top end of our budget of where we should be, and then after that, It's hopefully attrition, maybe a little strategy, whatever it is in there that gets us inside to get to the 20s in there. So really for mile and a half, it's getting into the, breaking the 28th, 29th place finish. That's a win for us there. And then for short tracks, it should be 25th or better for a win for us. Anything after that is just it's gravy at that point.
That's awesome. I love it. Matt, let's wrap it up with this. Tell everybody where they can follow you, the team, the sponsors, give some plugs, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So myself, it's at Matt_Tifft, Tifft. We do a show myself every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
I can't believe I forgot to ask you about that. Yeah, talk about that real quick if you got a minute.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. So we do a live show on Twitter every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday called Life in the Fast Lane Show with myself, my co-host Keith Migra, and so that's a lot of fun. It's a 1 hour show. So we talk about a little bit of racing, but mainly sports, pop culture, stuff going on. So it's a fun show because you get to see who I really am. It's more of an unfiltered version of Matt, which is kind of cool to see different beliefs and things and just stuff going on in my takes on. So I guess I'm going to really look at trying to expand on that, but then also what makes it fun is the people I work with there, the whole Rickroll video that came out.
Oh my God,
week.
that was great.
Yeah, that was off a dare of the 2,000 retweets on it. So I'm a man of my word. I did it. Which was hilarious, extremely uncomfortable, but absolutely hilarious to make. So I had a great time with it. It was fun to step outside my comfort zone with that. But anyways, you can find all that great content at Matt_Tifft, and then same on Instagram, Facebook. And then for the team, every social media channel is at Team Live Fast, even though we're Live Fast Motorsports, it makes it just easier to type in at Team Live Fast. So we did that. And, we've got some really cool partners coming up over the summer. We've had some awesome partners this year. We're really excited this weekend. As we're recording it, it has not been announced yet, but it will be tonight, which will be yesterday when this thing comes out. So Celsius Energy Drink is going to be on the car as a primary sponsor in Kansas for their first ever primary sponsorship. So we're really excited about that. I've been drinking their stuff for years, and they've been a partner the whole year, but they stepped up to go take the primary spots. So that'll be coming out through the socials all week. And it's just fun, man. We've had a lot of fun with different partners, different people. And that's the cool part about being a small team is you really get to work with people one-on-one. There's no boards. There's no, different director heads. It's just me. It's just me and them. And then on the competition side, it's BJ and them. And so it's really cool. It's been really fun.
That is so cool, man. Matt, it's been a great story to hear. It's great to have you back. It's great to have people talking about you, to see out there and all that good stuff. I am so excited to watch this team and organization grow. And hopefully, like I said at the start, 100 shows don't go by before we catch up again. And we're talking about your top 20 finishes, man. It's awesome. Thank you for being such a big supporter of the show too, from the early beginning here into season 5. So it's been awesome to get to know you over the last couple of years, and like I said, I'm excited as all hell to watch this grow for you guys.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, like I said, it's just been a lot of fun going into this role, and I appreciate you guys having me on here. I'm sorry about the ratings hit that this will take, and but no, seriously, congrats on the show and everything you guys have been doing. It's cool to see something like this going from the end of the season. So congrats to you guys, and I'm excited for y'all to keep on doing this for a while and keep on gaining on. So I'm proud of you guys and happy to be on here with you.
Appreciate you so much, man. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, huge thanks to Matt Tifft, owner, Live Fast, for calling into the show. Matt, good luck this weekend, the rest of the season, and we'll talk to you soon, brother. Stay healthy, too.
All right, thank you.
Yep, we'll see ya. Oh, Lap Traffic Nation, how awesome was Matt Tifft right there. Man, just what a great story. One about his health. So excited that he's, doing great. And it's like we had talked about. It's crazy that, a 15-minute episode, basically, took him off the track for good, and that it's been almost a year that he's driven a streetcar, driving to, the grocery store, hasn't been able to do that, which is just crazy. So glad he's still a part of the sport. What a great partnership. I had no idea of the relationship with him and BJ and that, he was his mentor and all that when Matt first started getting going there. So great story. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Cannot wait to get Matt on, definitely sooner rather than later, for sure. Right now, let's talk about this past weekend at Talladega, though. We'll start with the Xfinity Series race there, because no trucks. But the trucks will be back this Saturday, May 1st. Little Saturday night truck racing. I'll take that all day. But like I said, Xfinity racing here. Jeb Burton. All right, so let's talk about this. Love the fact Jeb Burton gets his first win. Love the fact Colleague Racing picks up another win. You guys know how big a fan I am of Colleague Racing, as I know a lot of you guys are. So here's how I'll break this down. All right, rain shortened race, right? 23 laps to go. Was Jeb going to win this thing? I mean, if we're honest, if Jeb holds on for another 22 laps, odds are he's the sitting duck, So the question is it Austin Cindric? Is it his teammate AJ Allmendinger? Is it Riley Hurst? Is it Ryan Sieg? Is it Noah Gragson? Brandon Brown? All these guys were in the top 10 there. Who was it going to be? That we don't know, right? We could what if that to death. There was no big one. Who knows how many we may or may not have had, how many overtimes we would have had. I mean, these are all the uncertainties, right? I think NASCAR made the right call in calling it. Like, that track was going to take forever to dry. We lost the track quickly. Was it worth keeping everybody there for who knows how long for 23 laps? And we know there would have been wrecked race cars, so the amount of money, so I think the right call was made. I love the fact we only had 4 cautions, 15 laps, that's the 2 stage breaks. Like, there was no big one. There was solid racing, like it wasn't all single file racing. So I love all that aspect. Like, I mean, that's when you think about plate racing, the fact that we were able to end it under those conditions, I mean, to me, it saved the race and made it a better race, knowing that we didn't have, a bajillion wrecked race cars there. Now, I get that could be a very unpopular opinion. I understand that, and I can accept that, but that's where I'm at with it. What I will also say is we keep talking about the Cup Series in terms of the number of different winners. We're basically at the same spot in the Xfinity Series. 7 winners, 8 races versus 9 winners in 10 races. I think that's fantastic. I love the parity. I know Dustin Albino loves that. I know we'll talk about that in a couple weeks when he's back on. We've had, Ty Gibbs, Josh Berry, Jeb Burton. So not only have we had, different winners throughout the Xfinity Series, but first-time career ever winners, which is great. We all know, for whatever reason, Talladega is the track for guys to go out and get their first win at, whether it's Cup or Xfinity, which is pretty cool. I enjoyed the race. I love the fact that, like I said, Jeb got the win, Colleague got the win. I think that's fantastic. And I'll save some more Xfinity talk with Studwell here in a minute, as well as Dustin here in a couple weeks. So let's talk about the Cup race now. Brad Keselowski, the king, Penske, the king of Talladega. When you look at Talladega, 11 wins for Ford in the last 14 races at Talladega. Brad Keselowski has had, I know he's had a number of last lap passes at Talladega. I remember a couple years ago, he had to win at Talladega to advance in the playoffs and did it on a last lap pass. So whatever it is, there is just something about Team Penske and Ford at Talladega. And how long will that trend continue? Who knows? But I absolutely love the fact that it's the trend that we're talking about. I think it's great. I've said it for weeks, in terms of what powerhouse team's going to get the win. Granted, Penske's only got 3 drivers compared to SHR's 4, HMS's 4. I mean, if I'm being honest, last couple of years, SHR hasn't had 4 different winners. I didn't think they were going to have 4 different winners this year, especially with Chase Briscoe's first year, Cole Custer's second year. So from all that, the fact that Penske was able to beat out Joe Gibbs and HMS to have 3 winners. I've also been saying it for the last couple of weeks. I had it the exact opposite. I would have thought it would have been, Brad, Joey, and Blaney in that order. And like I said, it was the exact opposite. It was Blaney, Joey, and Brad. Who would have thought Joey would have picked up the win at the Bristol Dirt Track? That's crazy. And who would have thought we're still waiting on Chase Elliott to get the win to complete the cycle for HMS, but I love that because, we still have the faith and the hope to think that that's going to happen. So that's a few more winners. We got to think Kevin Harvick's going to pick up a win too, so now we're talking 10, 11, 12 possible different winners at least out there. And who knows what other surprises we may get at race 26 at Daytona. Who knows what we're going to maybe get with the road courses that we still have a plethora of. So anything is still possible, which I love the fact that that's a true statement and not a oversaturated statement. I love Michael McDowell up there competing for it. I took him in lap traffic fantasy. I knew it was a gamble, but man, he picked up the second most points, was up there fighting for it, and that's awesome. Could you imagine? Twitter would have lost its damn mind. Michael McDowell picks up, and him and Truex are the only 2-time winners in 2021. Could you imagine that headline? That's crazy. Matt DiBenedetto was up there, had a shot at it, sitting duck. I look forward to the day of Matt DiBenedetto, being able to be out front on a restart at 1.5 miles, because that's something that you can hold off. But when you've got 2 strong lines charging behind you and you got a block, you're either going to spin, and the air's going to get taken out, and you're going to go around, or someone's going to clip you, someone's going to bump you. There's just so many variables that can happen when we're talking about the last couple laps at, Daytona and Talladega. How about Kaz Gralla up there, 6th place finish? Tyler Riddick, strong plate racer in the Xfinity Series, and that's slowly starting to transition over into the Cup Series. Harrison Burton was up there for a while, making his, I think it was his Cup debut, if I'm not mistaken. So many things to come out of Talladega, and I thought it was great, And of course, we got the Joey Logano situation, right? Flipping and going upside down, getting the air sucked from underneath him. And those are the things that suck. If we could have a Talladega or a Daytona race to where no cars left the ground, and we weren't adding to Junior's junkyard in terms of cars that get demolished, then yeah, it'd be awesome. But the fact that that's not the case most times, unless it's like the Xfinity race where it's rain shortened, then that's what makes it a little unpalatable for me. So I'll leave it with that. I've been horrible, and I apologize. I don't know. Maybe you guys miss it. Maybe you guys didn't give a shit. I don't know. But I had put a question out there to you guys to get a little extra involvement in terms of, how many and where would your perfect placements be for plate races on the schedule? So let's get to some of your responses. Jeff at JBev1789. I'm not sure I need 4 of them anymore. You almost feel relieved that they're over and no one is hurt. It's tough racing. The racing is exciting, minus the parade around the top, but still don't agree such a crapshoot should be the final regular season race. It's a form of racing. I want Cup to have multiple disciplines, but I think about this. We raced Bristol and Martinsville, really the only short tracks left as much as super speedways. Most would take 2 more short tracks in place of super speedway races. racing, I think. The shorter races heighten the sense of urgency and eliminate some of the patience. I think that having some long races is good and unique, but agreed shorter races would make them more action-packed, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Jeff, man, I think you hit it on the head there. I don't need 4. When we look at the transition of where we've come with the road courses, always just had 2 for how many years? And now we've got 6 or 7, So I feel you there. I think we could get rid of 2. I personally am with you in terms of not wanting Daytona to be the regular season finale. I get the excitement that NASCAR wants to create with that, and creating that last possible Hail Mary from, a possible team. Maybe like an Eric Almirola, who maybe doesn't have a win, or maybe he's on the bubble. Maybe like Ross Chastain, maybe he's able to sneak one in, and I get that aspect of having that last race to where your field isn't set and that there can be a shakeup with your last regular season race. I get that from NASCAR's perspective, so I'm okay with that. I can buy into that. Let's see here. Woodleaf at CWoodrun32. I tend to filter a lot of these races through how much of the race is a complete waste of time. A lot of these tracks and races get better if you cut these events in half, and maybe I've grown too fond of the Formula One style length, but why do we need 80% of the race just to be a filler so we can wait until the end? Cutting down the time would create any amazing sense of urgency where you just can't sit there for 300 miles and chill. Dude, I am with you 100%. And again, man, I got to play devil's advocate here. And to that, I would say, the 90% of the races that we're sitting at home, do we need 400? Do we need 500? Maybe not. But when you're charging $100 a ticket plus infield camping or camping fees, outside of the track, add in the fact that we've only got 1-day shows, all right, we got to make sure we're giving the value of the bang for the buck. It's most of these tracks aren't like your metropolitan, areas where you've got, your Detroit Lions, your Detroit Pistons, your Detroit Tigers, your Detroit Red Wings, that from a metropolitan area, you can drive in quick, get out quick. It's a time commitment and all that, so I get having the longer races. I've been saying for years since they come out with the new system, if we're going to manufacture excitement, if you will, with the stages and all that, they need to be flipped. Your shorter stage should be your last stage, not your longest stage, because that's where you get, the single file around Talladega, and who wants to sit and watch through that? Thankfully, there's Twitter to keep us entertained from some perspective or another. But, I totally feel where you're coming from, 100%. Let's see here. Scott at 1985 Wagner. I like Daytona book-ending regular season. No driver can points race. Man, yeah, I mean, just that's basically, kind of what I recapped just a second ago. Like, you're obviously going to have Daytona open, and I totally get where they're coming from with having that be race 26. Lisa at LL Chinana, they can drop the second Daytona race, but I don't see them doing it. Talladega, I would say drop one of those also, but I think that would set the fandom off like an atomic bomb, so I don't see that happening either. There are some great tracks out there that I might offer should be added. See, that's the thing. Like, I look at Michigan. We lost a race this year, and I totally get why we lost a race this year. Maybe we'll get a second race back. Who knows? I'd be okay with, I said this a while ago. I understand the needing to switch the schedule. I think it's great that they switched the schedule around as drastically as they did. I love that we're adding tracks, but when you add, you got to take, so let's, get the excitement out there for the new tracks. And, hey, maybe Michigan will get a second race every third year. I am totally cool with that. There are certain tracks, Bristol, Martinsville, Daytona, guaranteed 2 races every year, but like I said, if we rotated some, I think that would be great. I think that would create extra excitement. I think that would create buzz. If I knew, hey, I better go to the Michigan June race or the August June race, whenever they want to put it on the schedule, because I'm not getting a second one that'll put more butts in the seats. And I think that's great. I love all of that. So I'll sum up my takeaway. Thank you, by the way, to all the tweeted responses there. Daytona has to start the season. That's just a given. In my perfect world, we'd only have 2 plate races, the one at Daytona, one at Talladega. If I'm continuing in my perfect world, since I know NASCAR wants to have a plate race in the playoffs so that the playoffs have each style of track we go to, I'd put Talladega in the playoffs, but I'd have it be the first race of the playoffs so that again, my perfect world, you have the option of possibly one of the bottom guys that could maybe advance to the next round with that long shot win, if it's the round of 16 with the plate race at Talladega. And I get that's not going to be the case. But if you had Daytona race 1, and like I said, that's got to be it. Now, if we had to have 3, my perfect world would be Daytona race 1, Daytona race 26, Talladega race 27, first race of the playoffs. Could you imagine back-to-back plate races to end the regular season and to start the playoffs? That would be one hell of a buzz there, and I could buy into that. That I absolutely could. So, all right. That's enough there. Running a little long here, but I think that was awesome with all the content Matt Tifft provided. Let's keep things rolling. Let's get to a little lap traffic social media. Everybody, make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, Facebook, The Lap Traffic Podcast, YouTube, The Lap Traffic Podcast, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Lap Traffic PC. If you've made it this far into the show, how about a review? Tell all your friends they can listen on iTunes, Podbean, or any of your favorite hosting sites. You can even tell Alexa to play the Lap Traffic Podcast. The giveaway, less than 115 away from that Clint Boyer diecast and some Lap Traffic swag. And got some new follower shout-outs. Ashley at AZSports_DI9 fan. Chase Elliott fan from Arizona. Man, I'm hoping to make it out to Phoenix this year. I hope I have a reason to make it out to Phoenix. Let's put it that way. If Kevin Harvick's in that Final Four, I am there. P.H. Harper at Let88, Bowman fan from Rhode Island. That's awesome. Josh at Toyota Racing 83, big Toyota fan from Kentucky. But, Josh, you also got Matty D listed on that fan page there, which I love. And Kevin at Kevin T48, NASCAR fan from Mississippi. Guys, welcome to the show. Thanks for the follow. Hope you enjoy. And like I said, tell your friends. The store is out there on the website. Got some awesome new merch, some t-shirts, hoodies, very soft, comfortable material. It's like giving yourself a Lap Traffic hug. Go check that out. And of course, I've got free stickers and koozies. All you have to do is fill out the contact page on the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, and I will send you one for free. Okay. Got to give another plug to Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com. Use code LAPPED, LAPPED at checkout. Get 20% off and free shipping on your order. All right, let's get Mr. Aaron Studwell on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation joining me on the line. You can follow him on Twitter at RaceWeather, along with Brian Newdorf at NASCAR_WXMAN. Keeping us up to date on the busy weather we've had going on in 2021. It's Mr. Aaron Studwell, Dr. Aaron Studwell. Sir, good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Oh, I'm awesome. We had a 15-minute pre-record meeting, so it'll be interesting to see which goes longer, this record or the pre-race.
And the best part of it, it wasn't even show prep.
No, it wasn't at all.
I gave you another show idea.
You did. Oh, you did.
I hear Lindsay firing up the jet. She's coming down to beat me up in Oklahoma.
I tell you what, she is, as long as it would, if a second completely unrelated show, like if I start up the blank podcast, it would have to generate revenue. If it generated revenue, she'd be okay with it, I think. But Man, yeah, I tell you what, it was a great idea, and we're going to keep this under wraps until I look into it further, and then at some point I'll either say, hey, do you remember back on episode 237, Studwell and I teased a different show? Here's what it is, and A, it's either coming, or B, no, it's not coming. But man, and there's some crossover. Let's just say that there is
that's a good point.
There is crossover. So we'll see. And it's not wrestling. I will kill that bird right there, as everybody would think it might be, because everybody knows that's like the next one is wrestling, and it's not that. So I'll just put that out there right now. Wow. All right. We'll see what happens there. Stay tuned for that teaser.
Yes.
What's been up to, man? What's new? Baseball. We got the draft. I didn't even mention that at the pre-show or at the open of the show. Like the draft Thursday.
I'll be tuning in. I will be tuning in. I've just seemed to be. Last year, I watched some football. Wasn't really into it. I watched the Super Bowl. I think it was because a lot of the COVID and the COVID uncertainty, and then everything was late. And what are we going to do? And now we actually kind of the college football season. We're going to have a draft. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to really just seeing how these teams build and watching to see how the Jets can mess it up again.
Right. Well, Jets, Lions, right? So here's where I'm at with the draft. Like, for the last, if we take out 2020, for the last 8-9 years, I met a group of like 6-7 regulars at the bar that we used to walk to for draft night. The owner would bring in, because he does a lot of advertising on the local Detroit sports radio station, so they'd bring some radio guys in. The owner would collect a bunch of swag from the beer and the liquor reps over the year, and use that as giveaways. Those big bar mirrors and golf bat, you name it, give it away on draft night, and it would draw a huge crowd. And obviously last year with COVID, they weren't even open. So we did we did a Zoom draft party that all the guys that we would meet up with. Well, now that it's back open, I will be back at 24 Seconds on Thursday. So if you're in Metro Detroit, want to come say hello to the professor, come to 24 Seconds in Berkeley, and I'll be there. And, I wish there was a bigger Metro Detroit following, because I'd even say I'll bring some stuff to give away. But I know the odds on that are slim to none. So,
we've got followers and you've got followers. And I think between the two of us, we have 20,000, 22,000 followers.
That's pretty cool.
I know there's some overlap, but
there is. Yes.
But I think we can promote that, and I think that'd be a lot of fun. I'd love to see pictures from that.
That would be amazing. If anybody came up and it's like, hey, I'm a Live Traffic fan, like that would be so cool. I'd lose my
Here's
shit.
a sticker.
Yeah, and a koozie. Hey.
Yeah, a sticker. You're going all out there.
Yep. All right, so we got to talk about the Lions here. So I looked at a mock draft earlier today, and mock drafts are dime a dozen, right? And I get that. But
did you look at mine? I have a mock draft.
No, I did not see your mock draft. But I did see CBS's mock draft that has the Lions trading with the New England Patriots, so that the Patriots can get the 7th pick overall for Trey Lawrence. And I'm like, I think that's genius, because then it's got the Lions having 3 first-round picks in 2022. And we all know this year's going to be, when aren't the Lions rebuilding? We're rebuilding. We've got, we got rid of Matt Stafford shit, I'm drawing a blank on who we even acquired with that move there. But, so it's got the Lions dropping down to 15th and taking Devontae Smith, wide receiver from Alabama. And I'm like, you know what? I love the irony there that they trade with the Patriots, who we had, Patricia and Quinn from. And yes. I love that irony. I could see that shaking out. And I'm okay with that. Like, why wouldn't we want 3 first-round picks that we can take 2 tight ends and a running back with next year? I mean, I just love it.
Yeah,
No
you definitely know
sarcasm
that.
there at all.
Yes. No. Yeah, I'd seen that you guys are going to get the Alabama wide receiver as well, and that's on the Pro Football PFF, Pro Football, not fantasy, whatever this is, PFF.com. They do a lot of like analysis type stuff. Yeah, that's what you're taking Devontae Smith at 7.
Right, yeah. So if you can get him at 15 and get an extra trade pick, why not? So
I just don't, and if I'm the Patriots, I would okay, this is me. I would rather have Mac Jones, knowing the offense they run.
Yeah.
Knowing how New England runs an offense, I would rather have Mac Jones, knowing he's gone up, even if he's a game manager, who, he's pretty athletic.
Yeah.
He's intelligent, and he's played against real high level competition. Versus Lance, who very athletic, but I'm not convinced. The competition he's seen is going to be. I think that you've seen quarterbacks come in specifically from North Dakota State, but from FCS schools, and they're just generally overmatched. I mean, there are exceptions.
Sure. I get my biggest question with New England is when is Belichick going to step away, and who's going to be the next guy? And, do you want that guy to get your quarterback, or do you want Belichick to get your quarterback and to have a year or two with him? I think that's my biggest, what's the next direction for the New England Patriots? Because it's been a dynasty for 20 years. Where's the next step, and who do you want to have? Who do you want in charge of drafting your supposed next guy? Knowing that you're never going to fill the shoes of Tom Brady, the odds of drafting that 201st pick and getting 5 Super Bowls, 6 Super Bowls out of them, that's not happening again, So who do you want making that next call?
Well, it's you talk about with college football. I'll go to the college football example. You have coaches you don't want to be the guy who replaced. This is a great example, Bo or Woody Hayes. You don't want to be Gary Moeller.
No.
You want to be Lloyd Carr. No. You want to be the guy who replaced the guy.
Absolutely. You don't want to be Rich Rod, because we're still battling from that.
Yes. And you don't want to be Cam Newton, but you want to be the guy who replaces Cam Newton.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Let's talk about the weather this past weekend at Talladega. Sunday was great.
I know you.
Friday,
you could not have dialed up.
Could
not have dialed up a better day on Sunday. That was so nice to be able to sit and watch the race
and just not have to worry about it. Now,
yes.
Saturday, we knew it was coming. It was just a matter of when. From the sounds of things, based on Newdorf's conversation him and I had last week, it sounds like it held off a little longer, which was good.
Yeah, exactly. And if you look back through what I had written in my tweets, or go back and look at the previous forecasts, and you'd say, I was a little less optimistic. I'm surprised, really, that the rain moved out as fast as it did in the morning, that the ARCA race started pretty close on time. I think maybe even on time.
Yep.
And I know they moved the Xfinity race up, 5 minutes?
Yeah. I laugh when I see that stuff. Really? Wow. Now, to be fair, here's the thing. If they had moved it up, now granted, this is assuming all parallels being equal and that there's not a big one. But if you had moved it up 15 to 20 minutes, if we're just talking about the amount of time it would have taken to complete 23 laps, then maybe you can finish it. But you have to make the assumption at Talladega that, with 10-5, you're going to get a wreck, and then you're under red flag, potentially whatever, So now you're talking about needing maybe 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. But,
because at the end of the race, they may not be racing as hard because the radar is not as cluttered then.
Sure. Yep.
And now you're racing really hard with 8 to go.
Yeah, there's so many variables at play.
Agreed.
In that situation. But if we're just looking at the time variable being held constant, that's where we're at from that situation.
I feel like I'm back in one of my physics classes.
Right, I know.
You're talking about the time.
I'm thinking stats.
The time. Yeah, hold the time variable constant.
Right,
Like,
yes. I'm with you. All right, so we're headed to Kansas this week. We got a truck race Saturday night, cup race on Sunday. How are we looking?
Sunday looks beautiful. Breezy, but sunny skies. So we have an ARCA race early. We have a truck race 6:30 local. So it'll be a day to night race. Gorgeous. Windy, increasing winds from the south, high to mid 70s. So Saturday, check, we're good.
Excellent.
Sunday, I'm going to say right now, as we sit here right now, check, we're good. However, is frontal system west part of the state, all the models show rain, thunderstorms moving in after sunset.
Okay.
I'm going to say that timing does not change. So if you go to my forecast tonight, you're going to you just read the forecast line. It's going to be increasing clouds, high in the mid 70s. Done.
I like it.
If you go to the discussion page, you're going to say, hey, we got a little bit of a chance of this. It's going to be monitored. I'd rather put it out there and say, hey, look, we're watching it. Right now, we're not seeing it till later. It's a 400-mile race with a really dumb name. And and I think we're going to be fine. It's a 2 o'clock local start, 3 o'clock Eastern, 400 miles. We should be good by hours between the end of the race and the start of the rain.
Excellent. I love that.
So that's going to be the written down forecast.
I love it.
So you go to the webpage. And we will have a webpage surprise next week. Yeah. Maybe you can squeeze. You can squeeze me in as well as Mr. Newdorf.
Oh, hey. I mean, I'm down for whatever. Let's
okay.
We'll touch base next week.
We will. Thank you.
All right. Gotta end it with this. I love the irony in this, in the lapped traffic weatherman head-to-head lap traffic fantasy battle. How's that for a title? You have 4 wins to Brian's 6 wins in the head-to-head between the two of you. But you sit 47th in standings to his 51. So he is either on point or he just sucks ass, to where you just are a little bit more consistent in the points. So
consistent. What's better? You want these really high highs and really low lows,
right?
Or consistently mediocre,
right? Fortunately, I will just say, in 3 more weeks, we're resetting. So. So there's that. All right. Lap Traffic Nation, make sure you follow Aaron on Twitter at RaceWeather, along with Mr. Brian Newdorf at NASCAR_WXMAN. Sir, it was great to catch up with you. And let's see what we need to do for next week. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, great. As always, love being on the show. It's a great time. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, ma'am. All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Later.
See ya. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, great catching up with Mr. Aaron Studwell there. Let's keep things rolling. Let's get to this week's Lucky Dog and Lap Down picks. You guys know the drill. After race weekend, you can tweet your Lucky Dog picks. I'll read them, tag you guys after the show, or if you're feeling, creative and you want to call the Wave Around hotline, 248-965-9538. You can leave your picks there, and I'll play them on the show. I'm going to get right into my picks. I got a couple Lucky Dogs that I think are deserving this week. I mean, Michael McDowell, of course, is deserving of a Lucky Dog. Jeb Burton is, of course, deserving of a Lucky Dog. And my Lap Traffic fantasy picks are deserving of a Lucky Dog, and you'll find out why in just a couple minutes. My lap down is just the irony behind when cautions come out and when we're at commercials, and I don't think I need to say anything else about that. Let's get to your tweeted responses. Scott at 1985 Wagner's Lucky Dog. Bubba Wallace self-records a Fast and Furious scene and wins the stage. Good call. I love that. That's fantastic. At Joey Logano for being an in-car for Bubba's video. I love it. Jeff at JBev 1789 Lucky Dog. Man, thought MC Driver was going to go 2 for 2, showed the Daytona 500 win wasn't a fluke. Lap down, really have to figure out a way to keep these cars on the ground. Matter of inches with Bubba, kept that from being a very bad crash for Joey. 100%, sir. Brian at Stormin B81, Lucky Dog, team _ FRM, great showing. A lap down, Chase Elliott's pit crew. They can't do a fast pit stop to save their lives. Something tells me they're going to get that dialed in very soon. Jess at Iowa NASCAR fan, Lucky Dog. The fact we didn't have a wreck fest in either race of the weekend. Lap down, Fox's TV coverage with all the commercials and super zoomed in shots. Feel you there. Rowdy at the Rowdy Dragons, Lucky Dog. The 34 car Michael McDowell proving that he is for real on the super speedway. Lap down, the 48 team still proving that Chevy still cannot make a lawnmower running from first to worst in a week's time. That's funny. Eddie at Eddie _ EG3's Lucky Dog, Jeb Burton, first career win in the Xfinity Series. The Kaulig dominance continues in Alabama. A lap down, DiBenedetto, another missed opportunity to close one out at Dega. Lisa at LL Chinanas, a Lucky Dog, Gralla from Boston, y'all, for finishing top 5 in a NASCAR race. A lap down, Bubba's underwear after watching Logano's car come flying at him. 100%. Love that. Mick at Go Ducks 42 _ Mix. Lucky Dog. Brad K had trouble early. Bounce back for the win. Lap down. The 5 team mistakes like that can happen. Matthew at CH9 SE fans. Lucky Dog. Joey for crying about his baby flip. Lucky Dog. Bubba for taking the 22 to face and still running strong all day. Also shout out to Matt Kaulig for being awesome. Hashtag Jeb wins. Love that. Let's see. Ryan at Ryan Voles, a Lucky Dog. Kaz Gralla for 6th place run. And Kaulig for a great race weekend. Lap down 22 for being wrecked when he had a great car to contend for the win. All right. Those are your tweeted responses. Let's get to your calls on the Wave Around Hotline.
Hi, Brandon. It's Matt at Camper News Net. What an incredible race at Talladega. I thought last week that this race was going to be a wild card race, and anybody who was in that field today had a shot at winning this race, and that was what happened. Brad Keselowski, thanks to that overtime finish, last lap half to win the race, and finally, Brad Keselowski gets his first win of the year. It took 10 races, but he finally got the win. And finally, we can say Team Penske is the first team overall to have every driver win at least one race this year. That's, something I never thought would happen, where we could have, different drivers in different teams, and maybe somebody would be shut out this year in a team. But Team Penske finally got it done today, and 6th win at Talladega for Brad Keselowski, and a last lap pass. That was just an incredible finish, in my personal opinion. I absolutely loved the race. It was absolutely unpredictable today. So, anyway, my lucky dog, and I got, as a matter of fact, 3 lucky dogs this week. First, Brad Keselowski finally getting his first win of the year. It took 10 races, and we have 9 winners in 10 races. I never thought that would come in a million years. That's just unbelievable. The racing is absolutely competitive in the Cup Series this year, and, who knows what's going to happen the rest of the regular season. We're going to have more than 16 winners. I mean, at this point, could be a possibility. My other lucky dog this week is going to go to Jeb Burton for his first career win in the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Talladega yesterday. Yes, it got rain shortened, but absolutely well-deserved for Jeb Burton. And my third and final lucky dog this week is going to go to William Byron. He had that wreck at the end at the second stage, came back from that, recovered very well, got a second place finish. That's just absolutely incredible and well-deserved for William Byron and his entire team. I have no lap downs this week, and that enjoy your week as always, Brandon, Lap Traffic Nation. I'll talk to you next weekend after the race at Kansas. Thank you so much, Brandon. Take care. Bye.
Hey, Matt, thanks so much for calling in, brother. Appreciate you. When you talk about Keselowski and completing that, the wins for Team Penske, I talked about it a little bit ago in terms of, that's just the dominance stamp, right? Like, was it going to be HMS, and granted they've got one extra driver, Stuart Haas has one extra driver, but when we look at the powerhouse teams in a year where we have had so much parity and we've sent so many different drivers to victory lane, that's got to add a little swag over there at Team Penske, just to be able to say, hey, I mean, if we're being realistic about it, are all three Team Penske drivers going to make the playoffs? Yes. So the fact that they've got that swagger, those bragging rights are huge. And it's stuff like that momentum seems to be a playing factor when we're talking about racing at any level. And I love that aspect of it, that they were the first to do it, because, those would have been great prop bets to have. I've said it for the last couple weeks. If I had to place bets on who was going to win first for Team Penske, I would have had it the exact opposite of the way it played out. Same with HMS. I would have thought Chase Elliott would have carried that momentum and picked up the first win for HMS. And here he is, the last guy still waiting to get that win. And then when you look at what Toyota with Denny Hamlin specifically, Kevin Harvick with SHR last year, those would have been the first two guys I would have thought got wins after, the Daytona 500. Cause obviously that's who knows what could happen there, right? As we saw, and those two are still waiting for their first win, and at this point I would say Denny's going to get his well before Kevin Harvick is going to get his, just based on, the sheer consistency that Denny Hamlin has showed over the first 10 races here versus what Kevin Harvick's done. Kevin Harvick showed up pretty strong for the first 3 races, but those were some wild cards in my opinion, especially the first 2 when you look at Daytona and when you look at the road course. Harvick's picked up a couple road course wins, but he's never been a dominant road course racer. So I think him and McDowell were the only 2 to have 3 top 10s to start the season out, and that's trickled off, so it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out as we get to race 26 in the regular season for sure. All right, got a couple more for you. Let's get them going on the Wave Around Hotline.
Hi, Brandon. It's Kristen Hagelin, K. Hagelin 79. I'm calling you from the grandstands at Talladega. It was a beautiful day for a race. I'm going to give my lucky dog picks to McDowell and to Benedetto for both having a great finish, and lap down to Denny Hamlin for double penalties and pretty much just sucking it up the whole day, which makes me happy. Can't wait till I can get back to another race, and it's been a great day here. See you later. Bye.
Oh, Kristen, thank you so much for calling in from the track. I absolutely love getting calls from the track. Thank you for taking the time out. Thank you for remembering the Wave Around Hotline. That's awesome. I love it. So glad you had a great time. And hey, McDowell, I mean, he's racked up week high in terms of lucky dog picks this week. That's for sure. I love it. It's crazy when someone that doesn't win the race gets that, and McDowell definitely has gotten a ton more votes this week than Keselowski. That's awesome. Thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate you. Let's get to the last call. You know who it is. It's the voice of the Wave Around Hotline.
What's going on, Lap Traffic Nation? Voice for Wave Around Hotline at Racing Cans. Post Talladega. Don't really have much to say. Not a big super speedway racing fan, so I'll say this. Lucky dog, as always. Safety. Lucky dog Joey Logano for dropping the net, walking away from that. Lucky dog Bubba Wallace, Chase Briscoe for not hitting him in a vulnerable position. And lap down, let's just give none this week just because. Talk to you after Kansas.
Oh, it's a quick call from Mr. Andrew Cansian this week, and a late one. That came in late this afternoon, so appreciate you, brother. Yes, we know. I'll be honest, wasn't sure what we were going to get from you this week with being the super speedway, but you kept it pretty tame. I think last week you threatened that I was going to have to get the bleep button ready, which I didn't have to do, so that makes my job easy. Looking forward to your call next week. All right. That is going to do it for this week's Lucky Dog and Lap Down segment. Strong this week. I love it. Thank you, guys. Keep them coming. Appreciate you. And look forward to next week's Lucky Dog Lap Down. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, let's end this thing with a little lap traffic fantasy. Just a reminder, get your picks in by 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. Keep the Twitter interaction up using hashtag LTFantasy. There are only 3 more races to go for Segment 1. We're going to crown a winner. We're going to start Segment 2. We're going to start the cumulative stuff. All that good stuff is going to come into play here in just a couple weeks. So things are heating up in Lap Traffic Fantasy. But right now, joining me on the line, he's been a longtime follower of the show, longtime Lap Traffic Fantasy player. You can follow him on Twitter at Greg Whited4. It's Greg Whited. Greg, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, man, doing good. Long time no talk.
Yes, sir. Great to have you back on the show, man. Listen, let's start with this. What'd you think of Talladega this past weekend?
Well, I'll tell you what. I didn't get to see a whole lot of it because we had the family out to like doing some fishing, but I had the Sirius radio on and listened to it all. I came home and watched overtime.
Oh, man.
But,
fishing and listening to a NASCAR race sounds good to me.
Well, you know, we had the little portable speaker out there and had it turned up nice where I could hear it all. Had a bunch of lines in the water. Kids were catching some little sunfish, bluegill.
Awesome.
Good time.
Excellent.
It sounded pretty intense there for a while.
Yeah, it did. It had its moments as a Talladega plate race would and all that. Listen, so you were, I think, second. No, all right, let me rephrase that. You were third high this week for week high. Our week high in Lap Traffic Nation, I got to just tell you this because I think it's awesome, was by John Atwinsel, who lives in Australia. So there's a Lap Traffic Fantasy player, loves the show in Australia. Obviously, that was a little hard to get things to work from a time perspective with the time zone difference. I was second high week points for like the second or third week in a row. I keep missing bonus points by a point or two. But next up was Greg. Greg, 91 points out of Daytona with 2 races. Solid day. Who did you have this week?
On this past weekend at Talladega?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had, let's see. Oh, geez. Put me on the spot.
Oh, sorry. I should have wrote it down myself.
I should have probably been ready for this, too. I can't remember who it was I had. Oh, shoot. You know, I was just looking at the standings earlier.
All right. I tell you what, we'll kill time with this while I look it up.
I'm looking at it,
what you've been in the league a long time. You've seen it shift. What do you think of the new format this year with the bonus points and how the league's developed over the years?
Well, I mean, it's still interesting, and I like that you're finding different ways to keep it interesting. I mean, the segment format, just like it's always done, I think that's perfect. Especially given, you want to keep people interested. This is not a season long, keep the highest score.
Right. Well, and it's hard, too, when it's a free league. Granted, the trophies are badass. I think you have one, and you can speak to that.
I have two.
Yeah, see, there you go. So it's a matter of keeping it interesting in a league that doesn't have money on the line, which I get as a challenge. So, we've had a few people drop off in segment 1, and hopefully they pick back up as things go on. So you had Byron and Cindric for 91 points. I had Cindric and McDowell for 95 points. Yeah, man, solid week this past week.
Yeah, it was a good week. I just felt like Byron was going to be able to do some good with the plate track. And Cindric, well, let's just say he's not a really bad choice.
Right? Yeah. I mean, Cindric is the Xfinity to. I mean, and hey, it's Penske. And when you think plate racing nowadays, you got to think of Team Penske. So.
Well, that's for sure. Unfortunately, I've used both of my Penske cars that were the top two. I believe I've used all three of them. I could have used Matty D, but I just thought going off. So.
No,
he got us here. So.
I hear you. All right, man. I'm going to reset our point standings here, and then we'll get to some picks. Lap Traffic Nation currently your top 10 for segment 1 with 3 races to go. Fred Leclerc holding on strong with 900. John Entwistle is right behind in second place with 890. Henry Fletcher in third with 886. Jess Rose in fourth with 880. Michael Mason in fifth with 873. Lap Traffic Nation, who would have thought me, the Lap Traffic Podcast, tied for 6th with Michael from the Blind Spot Podcast with 857. Brad Carnes and the MOATF Podcast tied in 7th with 851. CJ Wolliver from Fox in 8th with 843. Michael Elliott in 9th with 840. And Pete Curvin wraps out the top 10 with 839. And from a bonus points perspective, it's Henry Fletcher and John Entwistle with 3. Andrew Sherwin at the PETM Podcast. Brett Morris, Brian Hall, Brian Newdorf, Carson Hagelin, Don James, Eddie Greer at the EG3 Podcast, Glenn Atkins, Haynes Perkins, Joseph Scapino, and Stephanie Holler all have 2 bonus points. So bonus points are at a premium. They are not easy to come by. We'll see if we can add a few more to that there, sir. Greg, what do you say? You ready to make some picks?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, Lap Traffic Fantasy players, we are headed to the Midwest and are going to Kansas, where there's been a pretty unique group of winners, both by drivers and manufacturers, over the last 10 races at Kansas. Let's see here. Toyota has 5 wins. Ford has 3 wins. Chevy has 2 wins. Of our drivers still looking for a win, Denny Hamlin's got 3 wins at Kansas. Chase has a win. Harvick's got 3 wins. Kyle Busch has a win. Some solid numbers from guys still looking to get their first win through 10 races in 2021. Can we get race number 10 through 11 races? Will we get a repeat winner? We'll find out this weekend. But first, it is time for our picks. Greg, I'll start with you. Who is your pick for the truck race on Saturday night?
I do believe I will have to take Sheldon Creed.
Sheldon Creed?
I think he's gonna be a solid pick this week.
I like that. I am going to go with Austin Hill. I think Austin's had a quiet season so far this year. He likes the big 1.5-mile track, so I'm looking for Austin Hill to pick up some points. And for the Cup Series, who does Greg Whited have?
Given the fact that I have not played the field the smartest with my playoff numbers, I believe I'm going to go with Kyle Larson. He's kind of slacked off a little bit here lately, but I think it's about time for him to come back alive.
So, Greg.
We're going to give the 5 a win for the 3rd on Chevrolet.
I got to tell you, I said a couple weeks ago I was waiting for Kyle Larson to have a bad week. And after that, I was going to pick him. He had his bad week. So Kyle Larson is my pick as well. I hope I don't jinx you, sir, so that you can to make a little movement this week and climb up into the standings where you definitely belong.
Well, I tell you, the first couple of years, I won the second segment and got second in the overall, and then I was up high second or third this year early.
Yes, you were. Yeah, you were.
And
up
then
there.
I'm just I don't know what's happened.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, listen. Good luck this weekend, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon, man.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll see you. Oh, Lap Traffic Nation, man. Oh, this show just felt strong this week. I don't know why, but it just felt like a strong show. I love it. I can't believe I'm in the top 10 in Lap Traffic Fantasy after Talladega. That's huge for me. I love it. That is going to do it for episode 237 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. Make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. Follow on Twitter at LapTrafficPC. Go get over to manscaped.com. Use code LAP to check out for some great discounts. Don't forget about the giveaway, less than 115 to go. Huge thanks to Matt Tifft, Aaron Studwell, Greg Whited for calling in. Next week, I'm so pumped about this. Spencer Boyd is going to be back on the show. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Make sure you tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya!